Hello everyone, this is Fire. And this game is a Case of Distrust. I found it on Steam, it's a free demo, and I figured why not play a nice little mystery game. Oh Luna, you're always waking up. Alright, so let's get started. We have settings. Ooh. Let's see, let's make the text medium. Luna, you're in the way. Come on, man. Nope, we don't want to erase anything. I'm actually using, since this is my laptop, that works better. Because it wasn't barely moving at all. I've never had that problem before. Let's see. Oh yeah, I don't like that. Now it's just crazy. That should be okay. Okay, so I'll just restart the game. Oh, look at my desk chair. Across me were these piercing amber eyes. They surprised me at first, but I should have known he'd be there. I stretched and said, mid-yawn. Not very nice to sneak up in sleeping What? Maybe I shouldn't even read. I laughed at his glare. I'd seen San Francisco's screwed thugs, hardened cops, and deadly politicians, but none could ever match that gaze. I know I didn't have what he wanted. Reaching into my coat, I took out my knife and flicked it open. Oh, so I guess this is like story-driven? I held the knife steadily while staring back at him. Look, I said, nodding towards the desk. That's all that's there. Take it or leave it. But a detective knows when she's beat, and I know then he wanted to search the place, and that's what he would do. I sighed, knowing my weakness for his type. Alright, I said. Let's look. I'm so confused right now. Oh, it's a cat. He let out a gleeful meow in victory. I cut a piece of my apple, and the cat had rejected. Always a sore winner, I jabbed, but I was smiling too because I was telling the truth. There was absolutely no other food in my apartment. The cat often dropped by to salvage. He made a lot of noise when he thought I was holding out on him, but right now the place was clean empty, no food anywhere. I had to prove it to him. Oh, cool. This is the reason why I wanted to play this game. Let's see, packed cigarettes were the latest trend, but I still preferred to roll my own. The ashtray was evidence that it was practice skill. I suppose I had a lot of free time back then. I kept a small statue under the side table. It had been police evidence in the crime, and its owner had wanted it back. I took a shine to it, so I snagged it for myself on my way out of the apartment. Let's see. A newspaper was flipped on the floor. Its headline about the death of Lenin, a leader of the Red Menace sweeping Asia, Russia. It seemed the Bolsheviks had lost their head. Bolsheviks. Let's see. My old notebook now filled to the brim. I wrote everything down, even the minor details. Never know what comes in handy. Let's look at the old ones. And if you haven't noticed, I've been putting in my own words when I read this. It's out of habit. I'll try and do better. The first half of my old case is details from the beats I used to walk in on my policewoman days. Of course, policewomen were forbidden from going on patrol, but Lewis often overlooked that rule. Lewis, huh? Let's see. Where else can we go? The lamp had belonged to my Uncle Lewis. He'd been an SFPD officer who argued policewomen could be good detectives even while the others jeered at me. I knew he'd been right, but my current workload didn't help that claim. Oh, did he die? We should think about him. We should never forget. Let's see. I thought about Lewis more often than I wanted. I was lousy at handling emotions behind my thoughts. Yeah. Let's see. That's the workload. I had taken copies of old murder cases from the SFPD records when I'd left. I loved reading through them, even though my own contributions were minimum. At that time, I longed for those types of jobs. The truth was, any work was hard to find for a female detective. Let's see. What's this? A safe? A regular white icebox, tinged yellow with age, half blocked the kitchen doorway. My income rarely kept much stocked in it, and right now it's empty. Okay, kitty. The cat had waltzed onto my apartment a few years earlier. He kept coming back, though there was rarely a morsel to eat. He'd continue his loud meowing until I proved to him the place was empty. It doesn't matter how doe-eyed you are, cutie pie. You've got no food around here, I told him. He licked his chops, looked at me, and apparently he still didn't believe that. I needed to contradict him somehow, to show him something in the apartment that would prove it was empty of food. There were no cases just then, but the cat was meowing and needed attention. Let's see. By talking to him and pointing to a piece of evidence in my notebook that will prove the apartment was empty of food. Oh, goodness. So this cat's been coming to you for years doing this, huh? Icebox. I opened the icebox so the cat could see inside. Empty, I told him. The cat looked questionably at the open door, then backed at me. Sorry, fella. There's no grub in there for me either. He stared at me with those eyes as disappointment as I felt. Those big yellows always got me in my soul. Thoughts of my family filled my head. My parents were still in Chicago, where they moved our family in my final years of schooling. I had returned to California, but they maintained that there were better work out there for my father in Chicago. So he's an alcoholic. His alcoholism had cost him his job and nearly his life. He'd attempted to clean start many times, but even the Volstead Act couldn't pry open the grip that gin had on him. Am I making up my own story as I go? My sister refused any financial aid until my father quit his addiction. Stubbornness and pride cost both sides much grief, and they were no longer on speaking terms. My parents were much worse for it, though. Most of their money came from my late grandmother's trust, but those funds were barely a trickle. I often dreamed of saving enough to help them. My mind spiraled into the unusual series of questions. Had I even impacted a women's movement? Had I made any change in society at all? Was my polluting career worth losing traditional happiness? What was the point in life I had chosen? A loud meow from the cat snapped my thoughts back into a moment. I took a deep breath and grinned back at him. Guess you can scream now, I said. Nobody's going to come knocking with food for you, fella. There immediately came a banging on the front door. Beyond a nuisance, this cat was psychic, too. You order out, I asked him. He looks like he's no good. In the doorway was the regrettable, familiar face of Connor Green. Let's see, what should we do? I should look past him. I looked past him, peering left and right into the hallway. I heard a woman's heels marching down the carpeted stairs, but otherwise the building was silent and empty. Green had come alone. He stared at me through the doorway with a coy smile. Well, ain't you gonna invite me inside? Started to close the door. But he stuck out a foot, stopped me. Hey now, foul way to treat a customer. Malone? I'm gonna call her Melon. So that was his angle, hiring me as a detective. I wondered what a bootlegger would need with a private eye, but he answered without my... I'll make this quick. I can't make this to the hog house, or the pigs would laugh at me. And other dicks just aren't as tempting, his grin widened. Thought this was gonna be a quick, I said as I started rolling up a cigarette. Dicks obviously is old word for private eye. Not actual dicks. It wasn't quick, and I'd already rolled and lighted a second smoke when Green finally finished the story. I noted the important bits in my book, which is over here, right? Notes. Nope, we gotta go back. It had started with a letter slipped under his door in a white envelope. envelope contained a single typewritten leaf, which he handed to me. It read, "End your game, or we'll end you." It had no signature. Instead of ending with only a small scribble in the bottom right corner that resembled a black hand. Wow. Green had a lead on a new rum-running scheme. A connection from Vancouver. He'd given a sample to Tiny Paul, the gangster who ran the Tin Spoon Speakeasy for mob boss Jerry Ferry. They'd agreed to buy in for more. Green submersed the letter was about his rum running. He suspected Redstone Stable, another bootlegger, of sending the letter. He told me that Stable ran a barber shop during the day and gave me the address. Green needed to know who the threat was from. He'd get Paul's gang to deal with them and continue his scheme to get rich. If I go snooping myself, he concluded, folks see I'm not trusting people. No trust leads to no customers. I need to play it low key, which is where you come in. I raised an eyebrow and stared at him through the cigarette smoke. Something in his yawn was still twisted. He must have noticed my resistance, because he said, "You know, I worked closely with Lewis. I'm sure he would want to protect me as much as any other victim." Dude, you're a bootlegger. You're not much of a victim. Especially not in those days. Okay, so someone killed him. The fact that he's bringing it up is just so... It's just trying to use it against her so he can help her. Well, so she can help him. Let's see. I was still searching for answers. After his death. He'd been a man obsessed with helping victims and bringing justice to those beyond salvation. With that thoughts, I've never understood how he could have taken his own life. Those thoughts haunted me. I'd quit the force and started my own practice taking his philosophy. Was Green worth my time? Would he be worth Lewis's? Green had tipped off my uncle in a few cases. I wonder if that was enough to warrant my protection. Before I could think past my headache, he threw a bill in my lap. Keep the C note as a retrainer. And don't worry about getting in touch. I'll find you later for a chat. So the C note, I'm assuming, is a wad of cash. He turned down the hallway and let him go. I let him go. If he was willing to give me $100 with no commitment, I wouldn't stop him. I turned back to the apartment, still confused about the whole story. My headache wasn't helping either. Whenever I lacked clarity, a trip to the Southern's coffee was usually the cure. You gonna stay in here, kitty? The cat had welled into my apartment a few years. Okay, yeah. So, there's nothing else to do. Did I have anything in my notes yet? Yep. Corner Green had given me a case involved his bootlegging and still wasn't sure if he'd be worth my time. I decided to go to the cafe. like this game so far. I don't know about my reading, but if you're watching it, tell me if I should read or not. I mounted a gold plate on the outside that read P.C. Malone, Private Investigator. There was only one place I needed to go to clear my head. Southern Coffee was a basement dive, and it wasn't modern, hip, or ever busy, and it was my favorite place to go down. What? Place to down some paint. Some paint? Do you mean a pint? I mean, it's not beer, but if it's a coffee, I'm like, especially in the company of the best bartender in the city. I think that meant pint. It's like you're literally going down there to drink paint. I don't think so. I gave my address and slushed in the back seat of the taxi cab, and I thought a good way to pass the journey might be to chat with the driver. Alright, let's talk. Taxi drivers normally have some nice stories. He was young, not a teenager, but not far off. The redness in his face and a mean squirrel told me he was angry. Don't much like driving taxi cabs, I offered. He looked puzzled at me over his shoulder before understanding what I meant. Nah, lady, I like it right enough. Just some boo-does before you were in here giving me heck because I look like the boy his daughter's going with. Went off about how my generation was ruining America. That scumbag don't know jack. It sounds like you know more. I'm not a genius, he replied. But you talk to anyone from the last century, they'd tear your ear from just being young. How'd they get so high, I wonder? Given the world in the 1890s like a smooth-running roadster. Then what they do? Bash it on every curve in a slight. Their greed, their war, their politics. Now they give us a ruined clunker. And they're mad at our manners when we grab the keys. I'll agree. I agree with him. The Great War was the hardest fought at home and abroad, I said. The old men who put us there had some nerve, he replied hotly. And then after those years, they tell us to get in line. It's a bum deal to me, sister. We're in the information age, and the news of the world is crap. They're just angry we can see their folly. Taxi cab rolled to a stop. Anyhow, thanks for letting me blow off steam. Have a nice day, miss. I opened the car door and stepped out. We're to the cafe. I'm going to pause it here for right now, because I don't know how long the video's been. I'll come out with part 2, probably in a day or so. Thanks for watching, stay random guys, and bye.